The Buffalo Bills get revenge over the Baltimore Ravens after a 35-10 loss back in September. The Bills handle business at home, but it was a close one. It came down to the final Baltimore Ravens play, a dropped two-point conversion by Mark Andrews. Well, back in 2016, the Browns took Corey Coleman, a receiver that, if you're not a Browns fan, you probably didn't hear much of him after he was selected on the first night of the draft. So with this pick, Cleveland's got to execute. They've got to pick a player that will turn the franchise around. Penn State Bear baseball has captured back-to-back AMCC titles, and for the first time since 2016, the Lions have captured a 30-win season. But Penn State Barons road does not stop there, as they now get ready to head to Granville, Ohio for the 2025 NCAA Regional Tournament. And when your team wins a championship, of course, you want to be the first person out there with the newest and best championship gear. But before you type in that credit card information, before you hit checkout, you want to make sure you're very well aware of where you are shopping from. I believe the saying goes, third try is a charm. Well, for Rory McIlroy, it was the 11th try being a charm, and he started his day with a double bogey. The Battle of 814, as we mentioned, is the headliner for this evening, as the Gannon Golden Knights travel to Edinburgh to take on the Fighting Scots. Week 4 of the NFL season kicked off this afternoon, all of our region teams playing on the road, and the first we head out to is the 3-0 Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the 1-2 Indianapolis Colts. In the small town of Corry, Chelsea and Logan Hunt took the initiative to collect supplies to help those affected by Hurricane Helene. And they are doing it through the air.
Yes, I've been flying for about 11, 12 years, somewhere in there.
When Chelsea approached Logan about the idea, he was completely on board, knowing not everyone is as fortunate as them to be able to take a plane.
If there's any way we can help out and get to the places where people can't in vehicles right now, I think it's an awesome tool that we should utilize, and I would hope somebody would do the same for our community if we were in need. But
it wasn't Chelsea and Logan's idea. It was in fact their 7-year-old son's idea, after watching videos of the disaster, to want to be able to do the family's part and help those in need.
It makes you feel good as a parent, makes you feel like you're doing your job good, and it's good that they have a heart like that.
Just the fact that my 7-year-old was so upset about everything going on and basically asking me how we can help.
Chelsea and Logan just made their first trip to Banner Elk, North Carolina, hoping to learn from this trip and make many more.
We want to try to get to the smaller places or places on the outskirts that, can utilize us being able to get in by plane. I also think once me and my husband get down there and we're able to talk to, local people and see what really is being needed most, I think that's when we'll be able to make our next trip worth it and find out the best place to go to utilize our time there.
Logan Lepiscopo, Erie News Now. The inaugural Throw Out Cancer Invitational was held for all athletes, as mentioned, middle schoolers and beyond, all in honor of Brian Milne, who is currently going through his second battle of cancer. In the fall of 2024, it was announced that Fort LaBeouf High School standout and eventual NFL player Brian Milne would be coming to coach the throwers at Penn State Barron. That was until his doctor called with a new diagnosis of cancer.
In December, I was basically in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk. My neck was swollen, essentially, with lymph nodes and tumors. I never thought cancer would come back, but it's here and I have to fight it.
One of Brian's throwers he has mentored over the years, Dan Dabrowski, couldn't wait for his 5th-year season to have Brian as a coach.
It was really tough. We were really hopeful going into the end of the first semester. I got the call in January that, he gave me a call that he had it.
Dan came up with the idea for this meet to try and give back just a little bit of what Brian gave to Dan and his teammates.
Even just by being here and throwing, and it's not always about the fundraising. It's just coming together as a community, supporting someone that has, done so much for us. Competitors from middle school to 70 years old, high school standouts, and Olympic trial competitors, some of which with a deeper personal connection to Brian and his fight with cancer.
2020, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and he went through chemo, he went through all the treatments, and it's in remission. So he's doing a lot better with that now. So I saw what he went through. So anytime there's a cause like this, I definitely would like to be a part of it.
James Dennis made the trip from his hometown of Cleveland, Ohio, to take part in the Throw Out Cancer Invitational, and for the first time, meeting the man he looked up to as a high school discus thrower.
In high school, I was throwing a little bit further and further, but I started to hear about this guy in Pennsylvania, and I'm like, this guy, he's throwing so far. He's throwing over 200 feet, and I'm like, this is the person I want to be like.
Dan told me that even when Brian does defeat this battle with cancer, the plan is to continue this meet and make it bigger and better than this inaugural year. Reporting Logan Lepiscopo, Erie Sports Now. Pennsylvania is the 13th state across the nation to give high school girls the opportunity to showcase their football talents. It's a project that has been in the works for quite some time.
We started this process back in 2022. We actually wanted to launch it prior to the pandemic.
The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Philadelphia Eagles began their own flag football teams a few years back and played a big role in getting the sport to the high school level.
I think it's wonderful that two professional NFL organizations have kind of taken the lead on this.
The sport continues to grow year after year, with flag football going to the highest stage of the Olympics coming in Los Angeles in 2028.
There was a study done by the NFHS in 2019. And from 2019 until now, there's been a 63% increase in participation across the country.
That is roughly 500,000 girls flag football athletes across the United States. And the excitement around Pennsylvania is not just coming from the girls that now have the opportunity to play.
I think everyone is really excited. It doesn't matter what gender you are. This is just going to open doors for so many people, whether it's officials, coaches, student athletes. I think this is just a great thing and another step in the right direction to open more doors for everyone involved.
Though there's no official rule book or season for the sport, there's a lot to look forward to. Logan Lepiscopo, Erie News Now.